Welcome to the Solemn Vanguard channel. Today I wanted to discuss something quite a bit different. Now, I just went to Springfest France. And while I only went for two personally, a few really weird games, what I really want to discuss in this video is the prize support. And not just like when you win, but the actual participation stuff, because Bushiroad actually had an interesting surprise. At least it was a surprise to me. I don't know if anyone else actually knew this was gonna happen. Maybe I was really ill-informed, but I was really pleasantly surprised, and so were many other people. When you joined, you first got this cool bag, and inside this bag we found a few items. First of all, we got these kind of boxes. So you know, okay, we have Gizeh, we have Heritage, and so these boxes we always got them with different characters. Now, one other thing that was actually announced was that all participants would be getting a playmat. So this playmat was also given at the Springfest and everyone got one. So that's really cool already in my opinion. They're also full size, so unlike the really small sneak mats, these are actually your 24 by 14 inch playmats. Really nice. Everyone at least had a solid playmat to play on if they didn't already. Now, apart from that, there's also two promos. So we had this Messiah with the stamp and then this Kagero card. I'm not sure where that came from, but it's there. However, one thing that wasn't announced, or at least as far as I recall, is this. To learn the new mechanics, the reboot. You know, at the caravan, or that's what they generally call it, where you learn about the game, let's say, so Bushiroad travels around Europe and around the world in general and teaches people the game in your local game store, gives you a deck to play around with to learn the basics. But I didn't know we would be getting these at Springfest. So how about we take a look together? And beyond that, I also played with this deck already a few games, and there's a few things I learned. So when you open the deck, you have your force markers. If you don't know, you have the new mechanic, which is Imaginary Gift. When you ride a grade 3, you get one of these markers, depending on what your clan is a part of, Protect, Excel, or Force. And then they have varying effects. So we got 3 of these markers. For Force, it's you put these on a circle, and then that circle gets plus 10k. Most of us know this already, so you have your 3 markers, so you can actually play the game and use the new mechanic. Then we have 3 of the main boss monster. Now, do keep in mind, these decks are made to teach the game to either a new player or someone who just needs to get into these new mechanics, and so they're very, very basic. They don't necessarily show you what the actual game will be like. They're not like the trial decks or the booster boxes, and so we can't judge standard on these decks, but you can learn a thing or two about how the game will generally flow from now on. So you get 4 of your main boss. Now, I'm calling it the main boss because this one actually has a skill. It gets plus 3k, whereas your backup grade 3, let's say, does not have a skill. Then you have 4 of this grade 2, which gets power. It goes from 10 to 13 if you have a grade 3 Vanguard. So this way you can actually hit a Vanguard and not need a booster. It's kind of comparable to the 12k attackers from back in the Limit Break era. Then we have 4 of these, 10k power and also 10k shield. These are just vanillas. And then probably the best card in this deck is this dude retires for 2 counterblasts. And while that may be like compared to premium, this is actually really strong when you play this stripped down version of the game. But I'll probably go into some more tips about how to play this deck in the caravan if you actually want to win a lot later in the video. Of course, we then have 4 perfect guards, because yes, you do get those even in these decks. 4 bar vanillas, but of course upgraded shield value, which is very, very important. 4 of this dude. This was probably the worst thing you could draw into, because sure, it plussed and stuff, but it was still not enough to actually hit, and so it was just a really awkward card. And then 2 of Gojo, which is just a solid booster. 8 crits with, keep in mind, 15k shield. 4 draws with only 5k shield. Really annoying, when you're dealing with giant columns. 4 heals, which has 20k shield, a real lifesaver to be honest. And then this starter, which says when you ride it, you draw a card. So instead of being a forerunner, you just draw. Things to keep in mind when playing this basic version of the game. One thing I really noticed is that riding grade 3 is the very most important thing. I swear to God, the earlier you could ride grade 3 many times, the easier you won. Because these force triggers really add up. Now that defensive trigger is actually at 10k, hitting a defensive trigger is stronger than ever. And these force markers are the one thing that actually gives you a leg up, let's say, when trying to deal with those defensive triggers. Apart from that, perfect guards are super important. Like, once you have your 26 or even 36k Vanguard, nothing in this game is able to guard that well. Sure, you could have 2 heals, but you don't really dig through the deck that fast. And so generally, if you see your PGs going into damage, that is very painful. Apart from that, this grade 2 is overpowered as hell. Now, do keep in mind, I said this is a very stripped down version of the game. Standard will be different. You will have your trial decks in your booster boxes, but this at least gives you some idea of how the game will generally run with the different numbers and so forth. Being able to retire pieces, giving them a -1 without actually losing anything from yourself is really great when people don't have skills. Basically the only card in the deck that actually has a real interaction, not just basic power gain. And for 2 counterblast, consider nothing else in this deck spends counterblast. So once you have this, you can start minusing your opponent. You can use all the counterblast you want because, well, you just don't have any other cards that would use it otherwise, and you really get in a good position. If you want to win with these decks in the caravan, let's say, you would generally want to ride grade 3 as many times as possible to create this army of force triggers, and then just try to retire 2 cards from your opponent, and that alone should really help you. Apart from that, guard early, because as your opponent is starting to get more of these force triggers, guarding is becoming harder and harder. Also, don't forget that without strides and without deck thinning and all that stuff, you don't heal nearly as much as in premium. So you could be like, oh, but if I guard too early, none of my heal triggers will go off. Well, generally you will see maybe 1 heal trigger a game. So it doesn't really matter that much. You just want to be guarding those really easy pokes because, trust me, once these get into the game, nothing here will actually save you. So I guess that was just basically what I wanted to talk about. I found this very cool. We were expecting a playmat, we were expecting this box, we were expecting like an actual upgrade, you know, of things to receive, but I did not expect actually getting these decks. Learn how to play with the new shield values, the new 13k base. Stuff really changes, and so this way you can learn to get ahead already, and it's just a really cool surprise. That was it for today. Hope you found this interesting. If you did, please subscribe to the Solemn Vanguard channel and click the bell button to stay up to date. That bell button is so important. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below and like the video if you liked the video. I will see you soon. Ciao.